Let's talk about Kyler Murray and the Arizona Cardinals. Both of these parties find themselves in a very interesting situation. Kyler Murray was selected with the first overall pick a couple of years ago, and the expectation that he was going to come in, he was going to be one of the most electric quarterbacks in the league, and even one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. That hasn't been the case so far. Kyler Murray is a very good quarterback in the NFL, don't get me wrong, but he hasn't been a franchise mover for this team. And I understand the Arizona Cardinals have been bad, extremely bad for the last couple of years. But when you look at the situation that the Cardinals find themselves in, it's a bit scary, but it is an out. I believe that they really have to think about moving on from Kyler Murray. You have 2 first-round picks in next year's draft class. Your own first-round pick and the Houston Texans first-round pick. That came from a trade that they made with the Houston Texans for them to jump up and get Will Anderson. The Cardinals gave Kyler Murray a huge contract extension. So moving off of Kyler Murray's contract in a trade would be hard to do, because you're going to eat some cap hit and you may not get the compensation that you want for a quarterback that's recovering off an ACL injury. Kyler Murray's tenure with the Arizona Cardinals hasn't been horrible, but it hasn't been over the top either. When I look at Kyler Murray, it's a quarterback that struggles to see the field at times. I understand he struggles to see the middle of the field. That's the biggest aspect of his weakness. I understand that. But another thing with Kyler Murray is this. He's not a natural reader of the defense. He's a one-read quarterback. He sticks on the number 1 wide receiver at times. Then he will go over to the number 2 wide receiver, but then it's too late. He will stare down wide receivers a lot. And Cliff Kingsbury did not help him with his development. But it also comes down to Kyler Murray as well. If you guys remember what happened when he signed that contract, it was a clause in there for him to do more study time. And there was a lot of players coming out saying that he's a guy that has attitude problems. He's spoiled. Veterans have come out and talked about him, such as Patrick Peterson. I think that Kyler Murray still has a lot of growing up to do. But that's a bad thing. We're talking about a guy that already has the contract extension and has been in the NFL for quite some time now. And he has a whole lot of growing up to do on and off the field, because he has stagnated as a quarterback. He hasn't progressed at all since his sophomore year with the Arizona Cardinals. Now, they do have a playoff appearance with Kyler Murray being the starting quarterback, and Cliff Kingsbury got the team to the playoffs. But they went one and done against the Los Angeles Rams when they could not adjust their game plan. And that was the biggest thing with Cliff Kingsbury. They will start off hot, and then the back half of the season, they'll tail off until they got DeAndre Hopkins. And I believe the DeAndre Hopkins situation was just sad. He dealt with injuries, couldn't stay on the field, and he had dealt with a suspension. But the way that they used DeAndre Hopkins was very unique and very good. They'll split him out wide, and they will get him the football as much as possible. And he helped out Kyler Murray a lot. But he also showed a lot of weaknesses in Kyler Murray's game. He would stare down DeAndre Hopkins a lot. And they had other weapons on this team that would get open, such as Zach Ertz and Rondale Moore. And those guys were getting open across the middle of the field. He just couldn't see it, because the ultimate game plan with Kyler Murray is for defensive linemen to go put pressure around him, not necessarily sack him, because in certain cases, getting pressure on the quarterback is better than getting the sack. There's no interceptions to come out. So Kyler Murray will panic and either run himself into sacks because of bad pocket awareness, or he'll check the ball down when it's a wide receiver open down the field. He just couldn't see him. And he also had this situation with Cliff Kingsbury where he blew up on the sideline and he was saying, chill the F out. I do believe that Kyler Murray can be saved with this team, but his weaknesses are very hard to fix. You can't fix his size. And I don't believe the way that he plays football, that he's not going to be able to stay healthy for an entire season. He's a very reckless quarterback behind the line of scrimmage. When it works, it's beautiful. But when it doesn't work, it can lead to injuries, and it can lead to a lot of interceptions and turnovers as well. I believe that Kyler Murray has a very unique skill set, and I believe only certain coaches in the NFL can work with his skill set. I'm not saying that he's the main reason Arizona Cardinals are being held back, because a lot of it comes down to GM decisions, choosing guys in the first round that haven't panned out, and making a lot of bad decisions in free agency. But they've tried to blow up the roster around Kyler Murray and put as many weapons around him as possible. They traded for Hollywood Brown when DeAndre Hopkins went down with a suspension. And he was able to put up good production with this team. You trade a first round pick for him. That was very rich, for the simple fact that he can't stay healthy and he deals with a lot of drops as well. But 709 yards last season, 3 touchdowns, 10 yards a catch. Rondale Moore's extremely good as well. 414 yards and 1 touchdown, 10 yards a catch as well. And I do believe that these guys could have been used in a better situation because they can go down the field and they can stretch the field. And Kyler Murray's deep ball last season was not good because he could not connect with the deep ball at all, for the simple fact that either pressure was in his face, he didn't see wide receivers across the middle of the field and they're running post routes, or for the simple fact he was staring down the number one wide receiver, the primary read. So they tried to put weapons around him. It just hasn't worked out and it hasn't panned out. But they find themselves in a very interesting situation. He's going to miss majority of next season. Colt McCoy more than likely will be the starting quarterback. In my opinion, Colt McCoy is not a starting quarterback in the NFL. He's a very good backup. I believe that Colt McCoy can lead this team to being one of the worst teams in the NFL. And you can use one of those first-round picks next year to select a quarterback like a Caleb Williams or a Drake May. You may want to really take a deeper look into going with Drake May, because a lot of quarterbacks that come out of the Lincoln Riley system, besides Jalen Hurts, the guys struggle in the NFL because of the one read system and the zone read system. So you may be looking at it out that way. But you look at the talent on this Arizona Cardinals team, they have some good young players. They selected Paris Johnson in the first round, a tackle from Ohio State, to help out Kyler Murray, or whoever the quarterback will be for long term. I believe that he will be a very good tackle in the NFL. You have good weapons at the wide receiver position. Like I've said before earlier in the video, I like Zach Ertz. He's a good veteran tight end to have, but he's on the downside of his career. He's more on the back end. Trey McBride, there's something there with him being a backup tight end to Zach Ertz. Xavier Collins still needs development because he misses a lot of tackles in the open field. But I believe Jonathan Gannon can help out with that. You hired a brand new head coach that led the Eagles to having the best defense last season. I understand that the Super Bowl loss, a lot of national attention went on him because they were not able to sack and put down Patrick Mahomes, but he adjusted his game plan. He did the best that he could do. So I believe that he can develop guys like Xavier Collins and Isaiah Simmons. Isaiah Simmons is a freak athlete. He can play all over the field. He's a very versatile player. He can play linebacker for you. He can play some safety. 4 sacks last season, 2 forced fumbles, and 2 interceptions. He is a major disruptor. So they have good talent on this team, and you also have Budda Baker. Losing Byron Murphy to the Minnesota Vikings will hurt the secondary, but getting Budda Baker back there, if you want to keep him, will help out the secondary, as he's one of the best safeties in the NFL. If you want to move on from him, you can get a good first round pick for him, in my opinion, or just some good compensation in general. So you have a way to where you can move around some pieces off this team and put this team in a better situation in the future. I believe that they can fix Kyler Murray. I believe it's a situation that can be fixed, but Kyler Murray is who he is. I don't know how much more you can get out of him. I believe that he's a quarterback that can give you good production at times, but his size and his injury history is going to hurt this team. As we've seen for other teams around the NFL, it is easier to stick with a guy that you already have, that has already showed you what he is, than to go into the unknown with a brand new quarterback. But in my opinion, I think that you need to take a deep look into a quarterback that deals with a lot of injuries, is on the underside sides of the football, and struggles with more than just seeing the field. He struggles with reading defenses and is horrible against zone blitzes. And we're not talking about a quarterback that is going into his second or third year. We're talking about a quarterback that has a major contract extension and is supposed to be the quarterback for the future. It would not be far-fetched. The Arizona Cardinals blew up this team and they moved off of Kyler Murray and they moved him to the AFC conference or moved him to another team in the NFC for a draft haul, because he is a valuable quarterback. Because as we know, the NFL is a quarterback-driven league, and he is still a top 15 quarterback in the NFL. So guys, let me know in the comment section below. Should the Arizona Cardinals stick with Kyler Murray, or should they move off of Kyler Murray and go with a quarterback into next year's draft class, or should they continue to build this thing around Kyler Murray? If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one, guys, stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for watching the video, guys. Peace.